Mr. Ty Lue. Mr. Ty Lue. First, we get news. I was like 99% sure Paul George wasn't going to play. First, we get Paul George in. Then, after the game locks, we find out Paul George is on a minutes limit. After the game starts. After the game starts, we find out Paul George is on a minutes limit. What is going on? You know, that really grinds my gears. Makes my blood boil. I am in utter disbelief. You should be ashamed of yourself, Ty Lue. Worst coach in the NBA. Most overrated coach I've ever seen in my entire life. Absolutely should be ashamed of yourself. You should be gone. As you can see, my lineup didn't even get more than 170 points. What the fuck happened today? What happened? I almost got last. I mean, now that's just sad. I mean, almost as sad as mine, but that's just sad. But what the fuck happened today? Oh, also, Ty Lue starts his second unit in the second half. What are we doing? I'm crying right now. What are we doing? And then you have people like here, John Turner, saying that you should void the game. I'm dying, dude. Oh my god. Oh, let's go over my lineup from tonight. I went Luka Doncic. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. All these videos go on this subreddit called DF Sports with one S. Here you can find my video or my post. My username is Shook. I post all the news that comes out. I answer all your questions. If you ever need to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on Reddit there. Or you can get a hold of me on Twitter at ToryLangley1992. Also, if you're interested in premium content, I'll have a link to my Discord down below. So I was like 100% sure that Paul George just wasn't going to play today. So I told everyone in Discord, I was like, listen, I'm playing for Paul George to be out. Do not follow this lead if you like money. So I gave everyone an optimal core, which had the optimal plays in it. And then I gave everyone my core of my lineup where I was going to play for Paul George to be out. Obviously, that epically failed. Like, epically. Paul George obviously played, and then Paul George was on a limit, and then they start the scrubs in the second half. Like, I went with Luka, Luke Kennard, Dylan Brooks, Kawhi Leonard, Steven Adams, Reggie Jackson, John Conchar, Alperen Sengun. So the one bright spot in my lineup, and I told everyone in GPPs, everyone kept asking me, who would you prefer, Steven Adams or Alperen Sengun? And I told everyone Alperen Sengun, and it wasn't even close. Unfortunately, for myself, I played both. And my one non-snowflake was Dylan Brooks. Just like, today had to have been the worst slate I've ever played in my entire life. And like my showdown lineup, like, once again, I play Paul George. We get news he's on a limit after the game starts, and then nobody plays the second half. Like, what are we doing? Like, absolutely insane day. I'm like, I'm you can't tilt from this. Like, you just have to laugh, or else you're just gonna drive yourself insane if you tilt from this stuff. So just laugh it off. There's always a slate tomorrow. That's what we'll look forward to. We got a nice, I believe, 11 gamer here. So I hope this video is giving you a little bit of a laugh from the absolutely insanity that we witnessed today. So, Portland at Indiana, we have Jeremy Grant questionable, we have Yusuf Nurkic probable, we have Gary Payton probable. So at the top, I'm going to make this video pretty quick, guys. Obviously, it's a really good spot. Dame obviously has a really high ceiling, so I think he's fine for GPPs. Simon's Hart just there for me. Nurkic is fine. Fouled out in like 20 minutes last game. This guy is always in foul trouble, but I think he has the upside to break the slate, especially at this price. So I'm intrigued by Nurk for GPPs. If Jeremy Grant is out, I expect we could get Watford starting, or they could go smaller. They could start like 2 guards. Whoever does start, I think would be a good value play. So just keep an eye on that news. So good match here for Indiana. Tyrese Halliburton, I think he's fine. Going to play huge minutes if the game stays close. This game went into overtime. Clear number 1 on this team, has triple-double upside. I'm fine with it for GPPs. I think this is a good spot for Miles Turner. His minutes have been on an uptick of late, so like his ceiling. Buddy Hield, no thank you. And I think the value plays are firmly in play here. I know Matherin's been bad of late, but now he's down to a price point of 4.5K. He's going to run that second unit too, so I think he's definitely someone I have interest in. And I have interest in Neesmith. I have interest in Nemhard. If I had to rank them, I'd probably rank them Matherin 1, Nemhard 2, Neesmith 3, but I think all 3 are perfectly fine value plays on the slate. You're getting more minutes for Jalen Smith right now. Just a dart, but a phenomenal point per minute guy. So I think that's it for me. I think, honestly, my favorite play, I'll do a favorite play for every team for you guys. I feel like you guys like that. Honestly, my favorite play from Indiana is probably going to be Miles Turner, and then Matherin is a close second. So tough matchup here for Chicago. I don't really have interest in this team tomorrow, outside of like the value. So like DeMar, Vooch, Levine in a tough matchup. No, thank you. They all cap their ceilings. They all cap their upside. They all eat into each other's usage. You have a slow-paced game here against Philadelphia. I just find it hard for them to have a ceiling game in this spot. And then you have the what's it called? Throwing a dartboard at whoever is going to have a good game. Like, you're literally throwing a dartboard. So all just tournament only plays. We have Alex Caruso questionable, and Osamu has already been playing pretty big minutes, even with Caruso in. So I think it's a decent value play regardless. But if Caruso's out, that's just going to solidify his minutes. So do like AO for value. Patrick Williams more out there for his defense, but he'll play huge minutes. Fine with it for value. That last game is definitely an outlier. And then if Cruz is out, I would have interest in Kobe White for GPPs. Would have a lot of interest, actually. Let's move on to Philly. So we already have Joel Embiid out. Excuse me, let me take a sip of orange juice. I think James Harden at the top makes for one of the best spend-ups on the slate. He's just still too cheap. I know last game he didn't have the best performance in overtime, but he's going to lead this offense. He has triple-double upside. It's a good spot against Chicago. I think James Harden looks really good. Maxey is just fine off his minutes limit, I do believe. Played 32 minutes in regulation. I think he's still a little bit overpriced, though. Tobias Harris, definitely my second favorite play out of the main guys. Played 32 minutes of regulation, or 30, I can't do math. 34 minutes of regulation. Like, he was struggling for a bit, but he'll be the number 2, number 3 on this team. Maxey's the number 2. But a good rebounder, can do it all. I don't hate it. Price didn't move. So I think Harris is definitely my second favorite play out of the main guys. And then they started PJ Tucker at the 5. I have no interest in PJ Tucker, but Paul Reed got DMP, which was quite surprising. So even if they start Tucker at the 5 again, which I don't know if they would do going up against Vooch, I like Montrezl Harrell quite a bit for value if they're not going to play Paul Reed. He'll get all that backup 5 run, plus play more at the 5. I believe PJ Tucker got hurt for a little bit too, so that might have helped. But even if they start Tucker, I like Harrell for value. And then if they start Harrell, I like him even more. He would be a pretty good play, in my opinion. Let's move on to the Knicks. So it's a tough spot here, but the Knicks are just playing their guys huge minutes. So I like the upside on Randall. I like the upside on Brunson. I think Brunson's a little bit easier to get to, but I think both look good to me. Emmanuel quickly played 46 minutes in regulation last game. If he's going to play 46 minutes again, he's just fine, but he'll be a lower usage guy playing with the starters. Quentin Grimes, overpriced. Mitch Robinson, you guys know the deal. Tougher spot. does have a ceiling if he can stay out of foul trouble. Then I'm not going to go to anyone else. Let's move over to Toronto. There's not much here, but they're going to play their guys huge minutes. We have Fred VanVleet back. Um, I mean, yeah, if you want to take shots on Siakam, Fred, Scotty, OG, Trent, be my guest. They're all going to play 40 plus minutes. Siakam definitely has the most upside. Fred VanVleet has the lowest floor of these two, but has a similar ceiling. So I don't have a lean. I think I might prefer Fred for the discount. And then I think my second favorite play for the discount with shooting guard eligibility is going to be Gary Trent, who is just playing huge minutes right now. Now he's shooting the ball very, very well. But that's what he is. He's a black hole. He's going to shoot the ball a ton. So I like Trent. I like Fred. Everyone else just tournament only plays for me. Let's move on to Brooklyn. So tough spot here, but Katie, Kyrie, I think they're fine. GPP only plays. I promise we'll get to some better plays in a little bit. Like, I know you hear me saying, like, I'm fine with these guys. I'm fine with these guys. But they're just fine for me. We'll get to some better plays in the late games. But Katie had a massive game last game. I think this is a spot where I believe Herb Jones will probably be on him. So tougher spot individually for him, but he's matchup proof. I think he's okay, but ranks pretty low for me in spend ups. Same with Kyrie. Claxton, Simmons both seem priced appropriately for me. Like, I'd much rather play John Collins or Onyeka Okongwu over Claxton, I think, in my opinion. Ben Simmons not really playing enough for me to go there. I think Royce O'Neal is a very safe value play, especially if TJ Warren's out. He's going to play big minutes, shot 0 of 9 last game. He'll stand in the corner, get you a few rebounds. Has to hit his shots to reach value, though, but I think it's fine. I think it's someone I'll definitely have in my player pool. Seth Curry, been playing extremely well of late. I think he's someone I'm definitely interested in, especially if TJ Warren's out, so I think my favorite play for Brooklyn is going to be Kyrie Irving. My favorite play for Toronto is going to be Fred VanVleet. My favorite play for the Knicks is going to be Jalen Brunson. So good spot here. I mean, I really like CJ McCollum once again. I know he had a bad game last game, but he's the clear number one. No CJ or no Ingram, no Zion. He has like a 30% plus usage rate. It's a fast-paced game against the Brooklyn Nets. I think he looks really good. If Nance and Hernangomez is out, I like Jonas Valanciunas once again here. I went to him this game. He finally did well for me. If those two are out tomorrow, I like him quite a bit here once again. I think they're going to have to play him decent minutes. He would be too cheap if he plays those 30-plus minutes. So I do like Jovel. Najee, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, these three are all kind of similar to me. Trey and Najee definitely the better point per minute guys between Herb. So if I was going to pick between one, since Najee Marshall had the big game last game, I might lean Trey Murphy for GPPs because ownership will probably sway to Najee. But I think they're all three solid plays. And then Jose Alvarado probably plays low 20s minutes off the bench. Good defender, can do a lot of things, can stuff the stat sheet, kind of like a mini TJ McConnell-esque. So I think he's solid value. Let's move on. I will mention also, if Nance and Hernangomez is out, this is just a GPP dart. Jackson Hayes will play at the 4, and I think he'll get all that backup 5 run too. So he could play a lot here, I think, in my opinion. Like, we could see Jackson Hayes, I think, get north of like 22 minutes here. So just a large field tournament dart that I think is important to mention if Nance and Hernangomez are out. So write that one down. If those two are out, I think that's a pretty good play, in my opinion. So write that one down for later. I like Washington tomorrow. We have no Beal here. It's a phenomenal spot against OKC. I think Porzingis right now ranks as one of the best spend-ups on the slate, in my opinion. With no Beal, just his usage is absolutely insane. Oklahoma City Thunder is terrible against big, so sign me up for Porzingis. I think Kuzma is solid in the mid-range. These two are going to do everything for this team. So like the top two guys here quite a bit. I think Monte Morris at 5.1K is going to have to do a lot more offensively. I think he's a very safe play. Rui Hashimura is playing more of late. I think he's fine. Denny with no Beal is probably going to play 25-ish minutes. I think that's fine. And then I like Daniel Gafford quite a bit. Been starting long Porzingis, been staying out of foul trouble, been playing around 30 minutes. 4.6K is just too cheap. It's a phenomenal spot as well, so I think Gafford looks like a pretty good value play for me. Let's move on to Oklahoma City Thunder. So, good spot here up against Washington. SGA has been very, very down of late, but I think that's going to keep his ownership very, very low. Now, the peripheral stats with Giddy back aren't going to be there as much, so he has to score the ball a lot more, but love his upside for GPPs. Giddy, I think, is priced appropriately. I'm not going to get to the value, though. I will say Jalen Williams is out, so they could start Kendrick Williams at the 5. If they start him at the 5, he's going to be a pretty good value play. They could also go to, like, Mike Muscala. They could also go to Darius Bazley, but Bazley's pretty much been out of the rotation, so whoever starts at the 5, I think, is interesting. I would prefer it to be Kendrick Williams. So my favorite play for the Pelicans is going to be C.J. McCollum. My favorite play for Washington is going to be Kristaps Porzingis. And my favorite play for OKC is going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Tough spot here for Milwaukee. There's not much here, even with Kelly Oubre out. I think LaMelo is in a really tough spot, so I don't really have too much interest there. Terry Rozier has been god-awful of late. Now you have the tough spot too, so not much interest there. The front court, I think they're priced about right. With no Gordon Hayward, I don't think he'll be here. We'll get Jalen McDaniels starting. Pretty good value play. Not going to be like a super productive guy, but a guy that can stuff the stat sheet, do a little bit of everything. Yeah, solid in my opinion. And I will mention, if you think this game blows out, Mark Williams will get the backup 5, and then he'll play most of the fourth quarter. Really good point per minute guy. Just thought I'd mention it as like a large field tournament dart. So, phenomenal matchup here from Milwaukee. We have Drew Holiday back. We're going to have to monitor if he comes off the bench or not. And we have Giannis probable. So, absolutely love Giannis. If you think this game stays close, this is the nut matchup. They haven't played Charlotte yet this season. I think he looks great. If you think it stays close and there's enough value to fit him in, Drew at this price tag is fine. I would prefer. We're obviously going to have to monitor if he's going to be on a limit and if he's going to be coming off the bench. So monitor that, but I don't think I'd be going to him regardless. And then I'm not touching anyone else on Milwaukee. All right, last 5 games here, guys. This game looks really appealing. So I want to mention something. As you guys have known, I've been extremely frustrated with Dwayne Casey over the past like week or so. When he was like 2 weeks ago, he ran a extremely tight rotation, and then he went back to his bullshit. But last game, we saw Killian Hayes, we saw Bojan, and we saw Jalen Duren play pretty heavy minutes. And we saw Sadiq Bey go back to his normal minutes. So we saw 31 from Duren, and he didn't play the fourth. We saw 30 from Stewart. We saw 33 from Bojan. We saw 35 from Killian Hayes. We saw 30 from Alec Burks. 28 from Sadiq Bey. Assuming we get that similar rotation, I like Bojan at 6.3K. Like his ceiling a lot in this spot. The Spurs don't play defense; they play super fast. So does Detroit. I like Killian Hayes at 5.5K. If we get 35 minutes again, he's too cheap. I think Jaden Ivey is fine for tournaments. Definitely a lot riskier because he's not playing as many minutes. I think Alec Burks is firmly in play at 5K. I think Jalen Duren makes for a really good value. Especially with Bagley out. I think he plays close to 30 minutes. Phenomenal rebounder. Just, can be a double-double machine at times. So I do like Duren. I think Isaiah Stewart is a solid value play. If we get 30 minutes again, decent point per minute guy. Really good matchup. Sadiq Bey, I think, is playable. So too much to like here personally on Detroit. It's back to last week where I really liked Detroit. And now I really like them again. Like when you guys, if you watch my videos like a week or two ago when I was really high on Detroit, it's pretty much back to that. So Spurs I like too quite a bit as well. We have Josh Richardson questionable. We have Keita Bates-Diop questionable, but he's basically been out of the rotation. Doesn't really matter too much. But sub 7K Keldon saw 35 minutes last game. No Vassell. Gonna have to do a lot more offensively in a phenomenal matchup. Game should stay close. Fire up some Keldon Johnson. I think he looks good. Jakob Poeltl's minutes have been on an uptrend of late. I think he's perfectly fine. I like Trey Jones at 5.7K. He seems like a super safe play. I think if Josh Richardson plays, I like him for value. He had a really big game, played 29 minutes in regulation. Zach Collins will get the backup 5 run, probably plays close to 20 minutes, an okay option. Sochan is playable, and then if we get Josh Richardson out, I would assume Romeo Langford's minutes would be pretty secure. He would be someone I would have interest in at the flat minimum. So, yeah, guys, I really like Keldon though, like really like Keldon. So favorite play for Charlotte is going to be Jalen McDaniels. Favorite play from Milwaukee is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. Favorite play from Detroit is probably going to be Jalen Duren for me. And then favorite play from the Spurs is going to be Keldon Johnson. Let's move on to Cleveland. So we have Donovan Mitchell out. We have Darius Garland questionable. We'll go over it both ways here. If Garland's in, I like him a lot at 8K. I know he's busted every time he's been chalk in these spots, but I mean, the guy's just going to have to do everything. I know it's not the best matchup, but assist machine, so many potential assists he'll have. He'll do a lot more ball handling too. I expect he's going to play huge minutes, thumb injury, so he's not going to be limited. So, like Garland, the front court, I'm kind of just indifferent on. And then I think LeVert would be playable. I'm not going to go to Love at that price. And then I think Cedi Osman, even with Mobley back last game, he still played 30 plus minutes. He's not a terrible point per minute guy either, so I think Cedi is a solid value. And then let's go over it if Garland's out. LeVert's going to be the best play on the slate if Garland's out. So what you can do, I already think he's a solid play regardless, but what you can do is you can just play LeVert regardless, and then if Garland's out, you're just going to have LeVert in an absolute smash spot. He would just be the best play on the slate. So that would be something I'm probably going to be doing, but LeVert would look amazing. The front court guys would be fine. Cedi Osman would look really good. I don't know who would start. I don't know what they would do to the starting lineup. We'll just have to monitor that. Could it be Raul Neto season? I don't know. But we'll have to monitor that situation. And I'll make updates when we get that news. So, really tough spot here. I don't really have interest in favorite play on Cleveland. If Garland's in, it's Garland. If Garland's out, it's LeVert. Jokic is matchup proof, so he's always in play, but I think he ranks behind some other spin-ups for me, and I'm not really going to go to anyone else on this team. So the Clippers are dead to me, but it's back-to-back, so I expect Kawhi will sit. We'll have to see if Paul George sits. And then John Wall was a healthy scratch tonight, so I expect him to play. If Paul George is in and out on a limit in a good spot, I like him. And then I'm not going to go to anyone else. Like, I think Reggie would be fine. I think Norman Powell would be fine. But if both Kawhi and Paul George are out, then we're going to have to play these Clippers guys. Like, Reggie's going to look good. John Wall is going to look good. Norman Powell is going to look good. Marcus Morris will be playable. So that news is probably going to change the entire slate with the values. So that is something we definitely have to keep an eye on. So, yeah. Tough spot here. No Cat. We have Nasri questionable. So Ant always in play for GPPs. Same with D'Lo. I like the price on D'Lo. I don't know why it went down $500 when he was absolutely smashing for the past week. So I think D'Lo is too cheap. So I do like D'Lo. And that's it for me, probably. Like, Rudy Gobert finally had a good game. If Naz Reid's out, you can consider him. He'll probably have to play big minutes without Naz Reid, but that guy has caused me incredible amounts of pain. This game's really easy to go over. I have no interest in Miami. I have no interest in Phoenix in a tough spot. Like Chris Paul, he's all over the place. Chris Paul would be the only guy I'd consider. So favorite play on the Clippers. If Paul George is in, it's Paul George. If Paul George and Kawhi are out, it's probably going to be Reggie Jackson for me. And then favorite play on Minnesota for me is going to be D'Angelo Russell. And let's go to this last game, guys. So guards have been absolutely killing the Lakers. So you guys know the drill here. I like Trey. I like Murray a lot for GPPs. Capella is not going to be playing tomorrow. So like the front court guys too. Collins, Okongwu. I think they're both solid plays. give the edge to Collins with that power forward eligibility. DeAndre Hunter played close to 40 minutes. If we're going to continue to get these huge minutes from Hunter, I'm fine with him. And then probably not going to go to anyone else. And then good spot here for the Lakers. We have LeBron back. We have, I believe, Lonnie and Reeves are both out. Yeah, they're both out. So I like LeBron ceiling at a good spot. I don't think he's like a priority for me, but I definitely think he's a pretty good play. Westbrook, no thank you. I like Thomas Bryant here once again. He's been extremely consistent. I think this guy could potentially be a top center in this league. He's just been phenomenal. So Bryant's too cheap at 6.2K. He looks pretty good. But no Lonnie, no Reeves. I wonder what they're going to do, but it's going to be more minutes for guys like Dennis Schroeder, Patrick Beverley, who are both in play. You're not going to get excited to play either, but definitely in play. I wonder if we see some Kendrick Nunn, but I think it would be too fringe, personally. But Patrick Beverley, Dennis Schroeder, they're probably going to have to play all the minutes they can handle with no Reeves, no Lonnie. So, yeah, those two guys definitely firmly in play for value. So, hope this helped. Sorry for the quick video, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.